30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, the 50, he's to the 40, he could go, he's at the 25, the 20, they dive at him, they miss him, he's in the end zone, touchdown!
Throws off his back foot, wide open man in the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up, ball tipped in the air, caught, touchdown!
Reverses his field, got a block from Pittman, going deep, got a man in the end zone, touchdown!
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And now it's the Undefined Blitz with Chad and JC.
Oh, welcome everybody to the Undefined Blitz. It is Victory Monday here at the Blitz itself.
I was just
finally
about to
for
say,
us.
just about to say how sweet it is to have week one of the NFL season to be a Victory Monday, but also the two college teams that we support also won this weekend. One of them in tremendous fashion as the Texas Longhorns traveled all the way down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and honestly just beat the Alabama Crimson Tide in every facet of that game.
They did. It was so good. I pulled up to Fazoli's yesterday. Had to go up shopping a little bit. So let's go get a quick bite to eat. I love Fazoli's, first of all. Fazoli's is great. And for the price you pay and the food, and the food's excellent. But walking across the parking lot, guy says, "Man, congratulations!" I had my Texas burnt orange on.
Okay.
Had my Texas shirt on. And I was talking to him a little bit, and we were talking about the games. Man, that was great. That was great. He's not even a Texas fan, but you either love Bama or you absolutely hate them. So unless there's no in between, right? It's one of those things.
Absolutely.
So it's great. So we talked for a minute and walked in, and Jennifer come around. She said, "So who was that?" I'm like, "I have no idea." But all they saw was the Texas, and they knew they hated Alabama. So it didn't matter to them.
Works for me.
It's college football, man. That's what you get with college football, but it ain't much different when you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's like a college atmosphere, the hatred that comes along with being a Cowboys fan. Right from outside fandoms.
Yeah,
there's a lot to talk about with this.
The Cowboys are probably one of the most polarizing teams just in general in any sport.
Yeah.
But going back to Texas real fast, did you see what Keelan Robinson did after the game was over?
I did not.
So Keelan Robinson originally played at Alabama.
Yes.
And transferred over to Texas. So Keelan Robinson knew where all the recruits sat because he was once a recruit in that stadium.
True.
So he went to the section where all the football recruits were and just yelled at everyone. He was like, "Hey, y'all, forget Alabama. Come on down to Austin."
That's right.
So that's great. I mean,
the weather's great, a little hot, but the food is good.
That's a wild way to just
kicking.
Completely dump on your old team.
It is. And I couldn't have been happier because honestly, we didn't expect this win.
No.
This was not a win we expected. I'm certainly not one of those fans going to say, "I knew he was going to go roll into Alabama and just beat the break." No, we didn't. Yeah, I was like, just please keep it respectable. If nothing
spread
else.
For this game was far closer than it was last year. I think last year Texas was a 20-point dog at home against Alabama, and they only lost by 2 points.
Yeah.
And then this year they were a 7-point dog on the road in Tuscaloosa.
Sure.
And the reason for that is because Bryce Young's not there.
Oh yeah,
we all know what it is.
Exactly. It's not a surprise. I thought Bama's quarterback, he didn't play bad. You can tell he's very athletic, and once that kid gets the speed under him, playing in that environment, I think he's going to be fine.
Plays, especially late in that game.
Oh, dude.
One where he had caught basically a snap off his shoestring.
Yep.
So he had to take his eyes, off of downfield, but he quickly adjusted, found the open guy, and the guy ran for a touchdown. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think if you're a Bama fan, you can't be. You're of course you're used to winning all the time, so you're disappointed in that, and you expected to win this game. Same time, you do have a brand new quarterback who's going to have to learn the environment and playing there. But I thought he did a pretty dang good job from someone who's just getting in there and doing this. Yeah. So I don't think you'll have too much to worry about, and it's a long season. And again, what do we always say? If you're going to lose a game, and right now this is still a non-conference game,
right?
Lose it early.
But it was a big night for Quinn Ewers, who had 349 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. Also, Jatavian Sanders, the tight end for Texas, 5 receptions for 114 yards. I think both of those guys really elevated their draft stock after that game. And of course, the narrative on Quinn Ewers going into this season in general was, can Quinn Ewers really show up in the big games?
Yeah.
Because that's something he struggled with last time. And there were times last year that they weren't even in a big game and he still played pretty bad. In other games, he looked great. Like in the Alabama game last year, he was looking good until he got knocked out of that game.
That's right.
So it's been kind of up and down with him in the one season that he has been at Texas. Now in his second year at Texas, I mean, this is a pretty big statement to make. It sends Texas from number 11 in the top 10 all the way up to number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So massive, massive win for the Longhorns. And not only did they beat Alabama, but beat them by double digits. Barely.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, barely beat them by double digits, but
they did.
21 points in the fourth quarter.
Which I loved.
Absolutely bonkers.
It was a beautiful thing to see.
Nick Saban defenses typically don't just give away points like that in the fourth quarter.
When's the last time he lost by double digits? Is it when he was coaching for LSU or was it earlier than that? It's been a long time.
Don't give me a line to you.
It's been a long time. Years.
Probably in the NFL when he was coaching the Dolphins.
Well, there is that too. There is that for sure. But wow, what a game. What a game that was. What a game that was. So excited about it and how it ended up. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the games this weekend in college football were business as usual. Because for a lot of teams, they were still playing nobodies.
Yep.
NC State is the first, what I'll call, quote unquote, real team that Notre Dame played, but they still beat them by 21. Utah barely snuck out a victory on the road at Baylor, winning 20-13. Oregon and Texas Tech had a pretty exciting game, but Texas Tech was picked to be second in the Big 12, and they've started the year 0-2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is wild, right?
So Oregon came all the way down to Lubbock and beat the brakes off Texas Tech like that. But, LSU had Grambling, dominated them. Kansas State over Troy, Oregon State over UC Davis. North Carolina, though, got a scare against Appalachian State, but they did manage to win that in double overtime. So the Tar Heels win 40-34 to advance to 2-0 on the year.
Tulane was struggling. I mean, was sticking with Ole Miss there in the whole first half of that football game.
Yeah, Tulane was winning at halftime.
They were.
And then Ole Miss said,
I don't think so.
No. Ole Miss threw on 27 points in the second half and held Tulane to only 3 in the second half.
Yep.
And Ole Miss went down to New Orleans and beat Tulane 37-20 in that game.
Florida State continued to roll. Ohio State rolled.
Colorado rolled.
Yeah, I mean, just beating Nebraska. People are still, and look, the Colorado deal, those are not games they win last year.
No, they've already doubled up their win total from last season.
Which is crazy, right?
And look at Miami, though. This is technically an upset. We know A&M had a down year last year, but they are an extremely talented team. They have a great coach. But they went and beat, or I guess A&M came to Miami, but they defended their home turf and won 48-33, hung up 48 points on the Aggies down there in Miami.
And how long does Jimbo Fisher have before they kick him out of there? Their recruiting classes in Texas A&M have been top notch the last few years. For them to keep playing at a subpar level,
the problem is that they paid Jimbo Fisher too much money.
Yes, they did.
It's not one of those where you can be like, all right, here's $30 million, go away. It's a substantial amount of money.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money. And that's why you sit there and you look at it, and it's like, at some point, you got to get a return on your investment. This goes for schools, and I'm just going to sit there and continue to dwell on that and keep that in-house. If you're just going to become a laughing stock at this point, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what you do if you're Texas A&M here.
But look at Colorado, though. Shedeur Sanders, 393 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was 31 of 42 in that game. Dylan Edwards did not have the explosive game against Nebraska like he did in week 1 against TCU. However, 9 carries for 55 yards is still respectable. He did add 3 receptions for 8 yards through the air. But Xavier Weaver for Colorado, 10 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. He averaged 17 yards per reception. And Travis Hunter, 3 receptions only, but those 3 receptions went for 73 yards. So he was averaging 24.3 per reception. And, of course, Travis Hunter played a lot of snaps. He got 4 total tackles, all 4 of them solo, plus a PBU.
Which is, again, that kid, boy.
But at the end of the month, things are going to start getting real interesting for Colorado because that's when they have to start going against the top dogs of the Pac-12.
That's right. And then you're going to see what they're really made out of at that point.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's one thing to be better than some of the worst teams. But when you start playing those teams that are pretty good, that's when things like now, if they keep rolling, who knows? I mean, you still at the end of the day have to take care of your business, and they have done that. Everything's been asked of them the first 2 weeks. Look at this. So the top 25 came out. I didn't think I was going to see this. I'll be honest with you. It's kind of exciting to see it.
What, Texas up at number 4?
Up at number 4.
You know, and them being at number 4 is their highest ranking since that 2009 season where they went to the national championship and got the break speed off of them by Alabama.
That's right. That is true. I call that the quit bowl because that's what happened.
Well, Colt McCoy quit for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
And once Colt McCoy quit, the rest of the team just kind of phoned it in.
Yep. You got Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, Florida State number 3, Texas number 4, USC number 5. That's your top 5, followed by Ohio State, who dropped 2 spots, actually. Penn State staying put about number 7. Washington's in there at 8. Notre Dame's up 2 spots to number 9. Alabama drops all the way down to number 10.
Because, of course, they wouldn't drop out of
No, they're not moving them out of the top 10. They're not going to do that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, the AP will always do Alabama a favor.
You've got Tennessee at 11. Utah at 12, Oregon at 13, LSU at 14, Kansas State at 15, Oregon State at 16, Ole Miss moves up to 17, Colorado is up at 18, Oklahoma has dropped down to 19, North Carolina dropped 4 spots to 20, Duke rose 3 spots to number 21. You've got Miami at 22, Washington State at 23, UCLA at 24, and Iowa at 25. All 4 teams were unranked going into this week, and now they're ranked. Round out top 20.
There you go.
So you've got your 1-loss Bama team. Of course, they lost to number 11. I think Texas was number 11 ranked at that time, which is why you don't see them move out of the top 10. Dude, what do you think about this top 25 so far? Again, we're 2 weeks in, going on week 3 right now. What do you think about it?
Well,
it's still hard to tell. We're at the young part of the season.
The question I have is if Alabama was number 3 in the nation and they lose to Texas and they only dropped 7 spots, right? Texas was number 11. Well, LSU got beat by Florida State. LSU was number 5 at the time. Florida State was number 8.
Yep.
But LSU is all the way down at 14.
Yep.
So all I'm saying is there might be some sort of bias towards the University of Alabama.
I'm shocked.
This is a thing we've all been saying for years. Every time Alabama loses, doesn't matter who they lose to, they don't fall far ever.
No. Way too. I mean, it's crazy. Right?
Well, got over there in the comments section.
All kinds of stupidity.
Oh, well, I love stupidity.
Let's see. How many Cowboys fans does it take to change in a light bulb? Change out a light bulb is actually what you should say. 2, 1 to change, and 1 to talk about how bright the old bulb burned. LSU 2001 Ole Miss 35, LSU 24. SEC West is wide open. Kiffin wasn't Kiffin this game. Too big of a buyout on the contract. Talking about Jimbo Fisher, I'm assuming. Enjoy mediocrity for the next 4 years. And it's been longer than that. LSU should be out of the poll. I don't think they should be out of the poll.
No, they shouldn't be out of the poll.
Not the way they lost, but Alabama should be lower than what they are.
I mean, LSU did get beat to sleep by Florida State. Don't get me wrong. But if the team's only 3 spots behind you, I don't think their fall should have been as far as it was. So I don't have a problem with LSU still being in the top 25 there.
Yeah, it's wild to me.
Because I look at every team that's behind LSU, and LSU, I feel like, is better than all those teams. I think the wild card in that statement is Colorado, of course, because no one really knows what Colorado is.
No, it doesn't.
Because Colorado is, 90% new talent. I mean, they brought in 53 transfers plus all their college kids. They didn't keep many from last year's team. So I think with the exception of Colorado, just because we don't know what they are, LSU is better than every team that's behind them in the top 25.
Yes. I would agree with that. And, of course, the games don't stop this week. We got some interesting matchups this week coming out of college. We've got, starting Thursday night, you've got Miami, Bethune-Cookman. Should be an easy win for Miami. I mean, there's no line in this game.
Bethune-Cookman just got beat down by Memphis. Miami's better than that Memphis team, so I expect Miami to show up and show out for that one.
Georgia Tech takes on Ole Miss. Both teams, Georgia Tech's 1-1, Ole Miss 2-0. Line is Ole Miss by 20. And they are at the vault.
Well, I'm not confident in saying by 20, but Ole Miss should win that game for sure.
Wyoming 2-0 versus number 4 Texas and at the DKR.
Well, Wyoming put off an upset in week 1.
Yeah.
So they pulled off a massive upset. I don't expect to see that here. And maybe it's just the recency bias of Texas beating Alabama, but I feel like the Texas being favored by 28 might be not friendly enough.
Yeah, I don't know either. Dude, that's just – I love watching this football team, though. I do love watching the fight. Them suckers are just ball hawks. Florida State, number 3, taking on Boston College. Florida State on the road. Line is Florida State by 27.5.
Yeah, they should win that one pretty easily.
Penn State taking on Illinois, the Illini. Penn State's favored by 14 on the road.
Yeah, Nittany Lions all day. I do think that 14 points is being very generous to Illinois there.
You've got LSU taking on Mississippi State. This is Mississippi State's first real challenge of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. LSU's been tested. They didn't really handle it very well. But LSU's got some dudes, absolute dudes.
They do.
I'm going to expect the Tigers to march into Davis Wade Stadium and pull the upset.
Hey, there we go. And the line is LSU.
I say the upset. I mean, LSU's favored.
They are,
but they're going to disrupt that home environment for the Starkville faithful,
which I think is and that's what's the important thing right there, right? I mean, they're going to go in there, and I think we will certainly see what the dogs are made out of.
Absolutely.
We've heard a lot of talk about who they are and what they're going to be this year, but are they? Are they? We're going to find out. Number 15, Kansas State takes on Mizzou, who is surprisingly undefeated right now, 2-0. The line is Kansas State on the road by 5. What you got?
I think Kansas State does win, but 5 feels kind of close.
It does, doesn't it?
This is Kansas State. I mean, they're the team that won the Big 12 last year. Granted, they do not have Deuce Vaughn anymore. It was nice to see him get to actually play last night due to the Cowboys just beating the brakes off the Giants.
Oh, God, yeah.
But I am going to take the Wildcats to beat the Tigers.
Yeah, Weber State 2-0 taking on number 12, Utah.
So Utah is going to absolutely wax Weber State.
Central Michigan takes on number 9, Notre Dame.
Again, very similar to the Utah-Weber State thing. Notre Dame has not really, outside of NC State, they haven't played a real team this year.
Yeah. You got South Carolina taking on number 1, Georgia.
So we saw South Carolina in that week 1 action against North Carolina, and they did not look good. Things are about to get extremely worse for them facing the Bulldogs down in Athens.
Yeah, number 10, Alabama taking on South Florida.
Alabama should 100% bounce back, dominate South Florida, and get back into the win column and prove to 2-1.
San Diego State 2-1, taking on number 16 Oregon State. Line is Oregon State by 24.
I don't know enough about Oregon State outside of DJ Uiagalelei to really give a fair assessment of this game, but it does feel like Oregon State should have all the talent in this matchup.
Number 19, Oklahoma, taking on Tulsa. Line is Oklahoma by 27 on the road.
Oklahoma is looking to redeem themselves after last season and the way that went down. So Oklahoma is going to stack up another win and improve to 3-0.
Yeah, Minnesota 2-0, going to Kenan Stadium to take on North Carolina, who's ranked number 20. Both teams 2-0. Line is UNC by 7.5.
Look, I like this North Carolina team. I like Drake May, but he has not had a great start to the season.
No, he hasn't.
And if they're not careful, Minnesota can absolutely go into Chapel Hill and pull off the upset. I'm going to take the Golden Gophers, actually.
Okay. Northwestern goes into Wallace Wade Stadium to take on the 21 ranked Duke Blue Devils.
So weird. So
it
weird
is strange.
Duke ranked.
Is it basketball season already?
Yeah, right. So Duke, of course, we know as a basketball powerhouse, not so much with football. However, they are doing the thing right now. They had the massive upset over Clemson that they won handily at that. It wasn't even really close.
It wasn't.
So I'm going to take Duke here at home against an otherwise terrible Northwestern team.
Yeah, Western Michigan taking on number 25 Iowa. Line is Iowa by 29.
I will take Iowa to win, but I am not giving them 29. Honestly, this over-under of 43 is insane to me.
Yeah.
Because Iowa doesn't do that scoring points thing. That's just not what they do. So Iowa wins. I think it'll be by a score or less.
I got Western Kentucky, who is undefeated going into Ohio State. Line's Ohio State by 27.5.
Yeah, Ohio State should absolutely run away with this game. They have the far superior talent.
Yeah, number 8 Washington going into Michigan State, who is also undefeated.
Yeah, Michigan State was looking to bounce back after a disappointing season themselves last year. However, their head coach, Mel Tucker, is now under suspension without pay for sexual harassment allegations.
Good job.
So they'll see how that plays out. So Michigan State without their head coach against the Huskies up there in Washington. I mean, yes, Washington is traveling all the way to East Lansing for this matchup, but that's Washington's game to lose.
Northern Colorado takes on number 23 Washington State.
Oh, yeah, that's Wazoo all day.
North Carolina Central takes on UCLA.
Bruins.
And we've got number 11, Tennessee, takes on Florida down there in the swamp.
The fact that Tennessee's only favored by 6.5 is laughable.
Yeah.
I think they win by double digits.
There you go. Bowling Green takes on number 2, Michigan.
Oh, yeah, Michigan should absolutely run away with that.
Hawaii takes on number 13, Oregon.
Ooh.
Line's Oregon by 38 at home.
I will take Oregon to win. I'm going to say they don't win by 38, though.
Then you've got Colorado State versus number 18, Colorado, at 9 p.m. on ESPN. The line is Colorado by 22.5.
Yeah, I look for Shedeur Sanders, Xavier Weather, and Travis Henry to just Travis Hunter, rather, to go out there and absolutely decimate Colorado State and Boulder.
Hey, there you go. All right, guys. Here we go.
Oh, did you see where Quinn Ewers won the Maxwell Player of the Week?
No, I did not.
Yes, he did.
I did not.
For his outstanding play against the University of Alabama.
So we're about to talk some NFL football. We'll hit scores on the games. We'll predict our things from this week. Remember, at the end of the show today, we've got our Drizzler Awards to give away.
Yes, sir.
And a Big Kahuna Award. So,
yes, sir.
If you got a Drizzler, if you've got a Big Kahuna, pop them in the comments. We'll read them at the end of the show. Who's your Drizzler of the week? It can be a player, a team, a situation, whatever it is in the world of football. College, pro, doesn't matter. Let us know what that is. Same thing with who's your stud, who's your absolute superstar this week. Again, could be a single player, coach, team, whatever the case may be. Let us know in the comments. We'll read them out at the end of the show. All right, we got the football season start off in upset style fashion Thursday night. The Lions beating Kansas City.
Yeah.
Which absolutely nobody saw coming. We figured the Lions were going to be a much improved team. We were curious as to how improved they would be.
Correct.
Could they stay with Patrick Mahomes?
But the big thing here was that the Chiefs wide receivers, namely Kadarius Toney,
oh Lord,
could not
Hands
catch
of stone.
anything. I mean, they were just Patrick Mahomes in his career has never thrown a week 1 interception until this game. A ball that bounces right off Kadarius Toney's hands, not his face mask, not his chest,
hands, folks.
not his shoulder. It bounced right off of his hands. It's picked off by the Lions and returned for a pick 6. But the Lions getting that win is wild too, because now Jared Goff is 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes all time.
That's a crazy stat. That's the craziest stat of that. All right. We have the Panthers and the Falcons. Falcons. Look at the Falcons, man. 24-10. Our boy Bijan
got his first career touchdown.
Yeah, that was so good. I was so happy for him.
Bryce Young played like a rookie NFL quarterback.
Sure.
I like this. It's one game. Like, let's not bury the kid.
That's right.
But he only had 146 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. His one touchdown was to Hayden Hurst, the former Falcons tight end. Hayden Hurst promptly then throws the ball into the stands like a moron. So the fans were cool, though. They gave the ball back.
Yeah.
And so Bryce Young did end up with that ball.
The Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, well, the Cleveland Elves, according to Jamar Chase.
Yes. Well, they worked a little bit of Christmas magic and absolutely thumped the Cincinnati Bengals.
See, I was thinking Keebler Elves because the Browns were in there cooking, baby.
They were. Dude, they were. And that's true. And you can make all those jokes and stuff you want, but the fact of the matter is, it's what happened. They did it, dude. That was
so
crazy.
Insane that Joe Burrow signs that massive contract on Thursday, and then comes out on Sunday, and he has like 84 yards total in the game.
Yeah,
and he eventually got pulled out of the game because he got blasted late in the game. So they're just like, nope, come on out.
We're good. It's just one game.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
Deshaun Watson didn't look great. 154 yards, touchdown, interception. But Nick Chubb carried that offense. 18 carries, 106 yards. And, of course, Myles Garrett and that whole Cleveland Browns defense did absolute work on the Bengals from start to finish.
We had the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Colts 31-21 on the road.
Anthony Richardson looked pretty good in this game, all things considered. Of course, Trevor Lawrence went 241, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Trying to think, who was the other guy that really stood out in this game? Oh, Travis Etienne.
Yes.
So 18 carries, 77 yards, a touchdown. That's great and all, right? But Calvin Ridley has this touchdown reception. He had 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. But on this touchdown reception, if you're watching your screen, all of a sudden you see a blur come running out of nowhere, and it's Travis Etienne, and he streaks up the sideline, gets out in front of Calvin Ridley, and lays the lead block that gets Calvin Ridley into the end zone. So absolute great hustle play by Travis Etienne there for the Jaguars.
We have the Buccaneers beat the Vikings 20-17 on the road.
Well, what was funny is before this game kicked off, I was riding around running errands, and I was listening to the radio, and everybody was like, well, can Baker Mayfield actually go in there and beat this Vikings team? Because Vikings had a great season last year.
Yeah.
They did. And it's not like the Vikings offense was terrible in this game. 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception for Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson had 9 catches and 158 yards.
Yeah.
I think he had 7 catches for 138 at halftime. Justin Jefferson was everywhere. However, on this particular day, the Buccaneers were a little bit better, and the Vikings couldn't find enough ways to get the ball in the end zone. Do you think the departure of Dalvin Cook
A little bit.
really hurt the Vikings?
A little bit. You need a hammer back there, and Dalvin Cook should get. Why would you I don't know why you let him go, but whatever.
They didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, well, and so you just want to lose. Good job. You made the right decision for losing.
Everybody's so scared of overpaying the running back.
When your running back is great, and this guy's proved how tough and durable he is.
Not durable.
Well, but
he's had a lot of injuries.
But he's tough.
He is tough.
The reason he has a lot of injuries is because of the way he plays. But still, you need a hammer in this league.
Absolutely.
To get these tough yards down. And we saw what happens. Tennessee, who can't push, and that Tennessee drove up and down the field on the Saints, but could not even get close to punching this football into the end zone. You settle for 5 field goals, you're not winning football games.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And the wild thing is the Titans probably should have won this game, not only because of the way that they were driving, but there was a play, I can't remember which quarter it was, but Derek Carr gets hit while he's got the ball back.
Yep.
Arm obviously not
going forward.
The ball squirts out. Kevin Byard picks it up. The play is blown dead.
Yep.
As an incomplete pass. It goes to review. And you can, everybody is commentating on how Carr's arm is back.
Yep.
It has not started even trying to travel forward.
And yet,
not only did they keep possession in the hands of the Saints, but it also wipes out what would have been a walk-in touchdown for Kevin Byard in that Titans defense. So you're talking about a 7-point swing, or at least a 6-point swing on one play.
Oh yeah, easy.
That 6 points would have made all the difference in the outcome of this game.
And here's the bad thing. We watched the XFL. What was one of the cool things that they had going on?
They just would review
and
anything.
We got to see it all,
just
right?
Make sure you get it right.
We got to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff, people talking about the plays or reviewing everything. It's like, oh, this is happening. It was like, oh, cool. I would love to have seen them talking about this.
Right, and this was the most egregious mistake of the week.
It was bad. Because now you can – inadvertent whistle, when the plays like that happen,
let it play out.
You're supposed to let it play out. They've been told this. This has been a thing in the NFL now for years because of the blowback from the fans, because we miss a lot of great highlight plays that are beneficial to the NFL.
Absolutely.
Because of stuff like this. But you get mistakes can happen, but when every official looks at it.
Yeah, including the replay team.
And you can and it's obvious. It was bad. It was bad. But the Titans just couldn't punch it in offensively.
Yeah, what's his face? Old Ryan Tannehill was terrible.
Yes. Yes, he was.
He was atrocious.
He was pretty bad.
Game.
49ers absolutely destroyed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. This game was not close.
Yeah.
In any way.
Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 152 yards, a touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, 8 receptions for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, this was all 49ers all the way.
The Commanders beat the Cardinals 20-16.
Well, as they should. The Cardinals have a bunch of XFL rejects.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I don't mean that to disparage the XFL. I mean, the Cardinals have a bunch of guys the XFL didn't want.
That's what we're saying. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I'm saying.
That's right. The Ravens beat the Texans 25-9.
It wasn't a pretty game, really, by either team.
No. And the Ravens suffered a couple of injuries.
But, hey, yeah, J.K. Dobbins, once again, done for the year. I think his career is over. If you're a running back and you're on your rookie contract and you can't stay healthy, then you're not getting the second deal.
No.
But shout out to C.J. Stroud, rather. He completed his first career reception, or his first career pass was a reception to himself.
Hey, there you go.
Very reminiscent of Brett Favre. Brett Favre's career worked out great. Maybe C.J. Stroud's will.
What about them Packers? Just
dominated.
Just crushed.
So Jordan Love looks like a guy, right?
He does.
I mean,
he does.
Absolutely look like a guy. Justin Fields.
Horrible.
It was terrible.
Horrible.
Struggle bust the entire way.
So let me tell you a horror story.
Okay.
I got involved in, you remember Dustin Vaughn? Remember Dustin?
Yeah.
So he messaged me the other night, hey, we're going to think about starting up our league. So it was late, so Saturday night to have the draft, which I couldn't be a part of because we're doing this. So my team gets auto-picked. Who's my quarterback? The worst one in the entire weekend almost. Justin Fields. I'm like, really? This is the dude that's on my team now? Oh, it was awful. It was awful. So I'm going to have to go in there and at least try to see if I can salvage something.
I've got Justin Fields in another league too. But the thing is, at some point, Justin Fields is going to rip off, 100 yards rushing in a game.
Sure, but the problem is
a couple rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, but you can't put him in as your starting quarterback every week, hoping this is the week, or you're just going to get killed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be bad. So I'm already writing off the season on that league. I'm just participating at this point. We have the Raiders and the Broncos. This was a fun game.
It was. Even though it was a lower scoring affair, it was wildly entertaining. Jimmy Garoppolo, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception.
Oh, Jimmy G does his win still.
Both of those touchdowns were to Jacoby Myers, although one of them probably should have gone to Devontae Adams. I'm just saying that from a fantasy team.
That's right.
But Jacoby Myers, you think he was a guy playing for New England who would get receptions and yardage, but he would never really get touchdowns. So for him to get 2 touchdowns in week 1 with the Raiders is huge for him. And shout out to Jimmy G too for picking up a scramble late in that game that iced.
Oh, that was
got the first down, got down, and iced the game for the Raiders there.
He took a hell of a hit early in that game, on a late hit, and passed concussion protocol, and still finished out the drive. What tough, trying to prove that he can still play in this league and be the starting quarterback. And he got his first victory in Mile High Stadium. That was great. The Eagles and the Patriots game,
a lot of fun.
Was good. It was good.
Patriots seem like now that they have an actual offensive coordinator and not a defensive coordinator calling offense, that hey, they got some dudes.
They do.
Maybe not the best dudes, but they got some dudes. Mac Jones threw for 316 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have an interception in this game, but of course the Eagles are immensely talented, and Mac Jones's 1 interception did go as defensive points for the Eagles.
Well, and that's the thing.
And that's the difference in the final score.
It really is.
That one mistake.
Because they were driving again, New England was. It was a 70-yard interception return.
Yeah, Darius Slay to the house.
It's, Patriots fans, you got to be kind of happy. I mean, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl last year, and here you go. Going nose to nose and toe to toe with these guys.
And Tom Brady came back to Foxborough. He was honored at halftime of that game. So it feels like the Patriots have the makings of a team that can do something, which they are absolutely going to need in that AFC East.
Oh, dude. Dolphins and Chargers, an absolute offensive spectacle.
Another fun game. Tua, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tyreek Hill, 11 of those receptions, 215 of those 466 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including the one that ultimately won the game for the Dolphins. But what was more impressive than that was after Tyreek Hill catches that touchdown, they kick the extra point, they miss the extra point, so they're only up 2. Instead of being up 37-34, they're up 36-34. The Dolphins defense went to work on that Chargers offense as Justin Herbert's trying to lead that team on a game-winning drive. They never really had a chance. That offensive line for the Chargers completely collapsed.
Yeah, the Rams and the Seahawks. Rams beat the Seahawks 30-13.
Surprising.
I was shocked.
Really surprising. Did you see the great clip that came out of this game?
No.
So there's a clip. I can't remember if I saw it on Facebook or Instagram or X or one of those social media apps. But it's Geno Smith, and he is in the shotgun. He catches the ball, and it looks like the Rams are just rushing 3.
Yeah.
Two ends and a D tackle. And so the center is helping out one of the guards. The other guard is helping out the left tackle. And there's this big open lane. And who comes rushing in out of nowhere? The big number 99, Aaron Donald.
Oh, Lord.
And Geno Smith sees Aaron Donald unblocked running at him. And you hear Geno Smith go, "Oh, my God." Just whistle ball out.
Dude, I feel you. I would too.
For his life.
I'm right there with you. I would be scared too. That's a big monster of a man right there coming barreling at you. And of course, last night, prime time, the Dallas Cowboys just dog walked the New York foosball Giants.
Yeah, it was a real quiet second half for the Cowboys. They only scored 14 points.
That's it. Stars had to go
Yeah,
to the bench
the
early.
Stars were out of the game by the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But it was an all-around team win. I mean, if you look at Dak Prescott's numbers, they weren't flashy. He only threw for 143 yards.
Didn't have to. And that rain
no
and
touchdowns, no interceptions, but the defense was making so many plays.
Yep.
So many, you had and the special teams. So you had the blocked field goal early in the game.
That changed everything
after
quickly.
After the Giants had this great drive.
Yep.
But then they take a tackle for a loss. They get a false start. They get a holding call. Really backed him up on that field goal try. Then it gets blocked. Noah Igbenogany. I have to remind myself how to say it.
Dude, I've been trying all day.
In his first game as a Cowboy, following the trade for Kelvin Joseph, houses that blocked field goal. The Giants come out. They're trying to hit Saquon Barkley with a little check down. Ball. He catches the ball and then
stuck the ball.
And then he gets obliterated.
Yep.
And the ball pops straight up. Deron Bland catches it, runs it in, pick six. So the Cowboys all of a sudden are, and I think the Cowboys got a field goal in between there or something too. So all of a sudden in the blink of an eye,
it's like 16-0.
16-0.
Well, what just happened here? And we're not out of the first quarter.
Yeah, and then the sack party starts.
Oh, yeah.
The forced fumbles by the Cowboys, whether it was Daniel Jones or especially late in the game, Trayvon Diggs, after the Giants finally had an impressive first down throw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or a throw to pick up a first down,
That's
like
right.
a real clutch one. Trayvon Diggs just rips the ball out as they're going to the ground, which I'm trying to remember who recovered that. Maybe Mukwamu?
I don't remember.
I don't recall. But Dallas and what they were able to do, especially on defense in that game, was incredible. And the Giants made some history last night. So the Giants became the first team in NFL history to lose a game 40-0 or worse, lose the turnover battle 3-0 or worse, lose the sack battle 7-0 or worse, have a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, and throw a pick six in the same season. And they did it in a singular game.
Hey, look, if you're going to be great at something, be great at sucking.
But if you're a Giants fan, there is hope.
There is hope.
Because you literally can't get worse.
No, you really can't. That and the whole image of Daniel Jones, right, with the rubber stuff all over his face after he got blasted. You see that? It's floating around there. All the pellets are everywhere, the debris from that rubber field. It's just summed up everything about that game.
Going into the game, they're talking about, well, it's a light rain, and it should only be a light rain through about the first half. It might have been a light rain in terms of, like, the amount of rain drops, but they were thick, big boy rain pellets that were falling down, and those jerseys were soaked pretty quick.
They were, and then Jennifer asked me, and I said, so, I don't know, can you imagine playing football in the rain? I'm like, yeah, I've done a lot of times. It's fun. But it's a whole different kind of ball game when you try and play in the rain. Catching the ball is not easy. Holding on to the ball is definitely not easy.
Especially playing on that artificial turf that they do now instead of like real grass. The artificial turf is already kind of slippery, and then you add actual water on top of it, and it makes it way worse. CeeDee Lamb, 4 catches, 77 yards in that game. Most of those came on 149-yard pass, but he did catch all 4 balls that were thrown his way.
Well, we talked about Dak. There were 2 potential touchdown drops in this game for him.
Yeah, I remember the Hendershot one for
sure. The Hendershot one, and there was another one down the goal line. They set up another field goal down there that should have been caught but wasn't. So there were 2 big drops that affected him because Dak, the one to Peyton Hendershot though, was an absolute beauty of a throw.
Yeah, he was in triple coverage.
He was,
but the ball was where it had to be.
Yeah, and we talk about. Because I was saying, of course, the ball hits you in your hands, you have to catch it. And I've played wide receiver my whole life growing up. That's what I played. And that's true and not true all at the same time because it's easier to catch a ball with 2 hands when it's in front of you as opposed to reaching behind you. But that ball was right there.
Yeah, it was where it had to be.
It was money.
But here, the thing I was most upset about in this game was Jake Ferguson.
Yes.
He had 7 targets. Easily outpaced everybody on the team in targets.
Yep.
Only caught 2 balls.
Yep.
Out of those 7. That's discouraging. Brandon Cooks had that defense so scared. They held him. They did illegal contact.
Pass interference.
Brandon Cooks was a flag drawing machine.
He was.
Stat line isn't impressive. 2 catches, 22 yards. However, he moved the ball a lot.
Just the fear alone of what that man's capable of did that. It was just a dominant win. That Cowboys defense is freaking spooky. How good they are at every position. That's the thing. I mean, I love saying Odigizua and watching him and Dorrance last night. Dorrance Armstrong
both get 2 sacks apiece.
Oh yeah.
Micah got 1. Chauncey Golson got 1.
DeMarcus was everywhere.
Got 1. But Marquise Bell led the team in tackles.
Yeah, I think LBE ended up with 6. I think he was second on the team.
He was third.
Was he third?
J-Ron was second.
That's right. J-Ron said, look, he set the tone. When he lit Daniel, I did not mind him blasting Daniel Jones on that first run he tried to make. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. This is going to be great.
And shout out to, the Cowboys. I was pumped when they picked up Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
He's older. We get it. Like, he's not prime Stephon Gilmore. Yeah. But he's still really good.
Oh.
And he comes up with the pick in this game.
He does.
So, kudos.
What an asset he has been.
I don't expect this week to go the same way as last night went.
Oh, no.
But
they'll be facing a much better football team.
From New York.
Well, at least we certainly expect it. Bills-Jets are tonight. Bills are favored by 2 on the road. Back at MetLife.
Ooh.
This is going to be interesting. So we got to pick these games. What do you got?
I'm going to take the team that actually has a running attack, and that's the Jets. The Jets have Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
They have Breece Hall. They have Michael Carter.
Yes.
Like, they got some guys who can tote the rock.
Yeah, they do.
Then, they also have Garrett Wilson out there.
There's a dude.
Oh, and who's the quarterback? Oh, Aaron Rodgers is
who's
the
that
quarterback.
Guy? Never heard of him.
They had a pretty solid defense last year. And I know the Bills had a lot of injuries on the defensive side, and they've got a lot of those guys back, but they still don't have Von Miller.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin is being held out of this game tonight just as a precaution. So I'm going to look for the Jets to pull the upset at home.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Then Thursday night, we got Vikings-Eagles.
Oh, Eagles.
I would say so, too. The Lions, Eagles by 7. Of course, next Sunday, we've got Jets, Cowboys. The line right now is Dallas by 3.5. That's likely to change after tonight, one way or the other.
But I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Oh, I am too, for sure. Packers, Falcons. I'm excited about this game when I wasn't before, just because of how both teams played this weekend.
Well, I think they both played bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
And one played a bad team a lot better than the other one did.
Yes.
The Packers are only favored by 1. I think the Packers win by at least a touchdown.
Okay. Raiders, Bills. Again, we're going to find out a lot about Buffalo tonight. Right now, they are still favored by 10 going into this game.
Yeah, Buffalo should absolutely win that game.
Ravens, Bengals, line of Cincinnati by 3.5.
The Bengals are the better team, but they have to put it together. I think last week was an aberration. It's not going to be the status quo. But look at the Bengals having to start off the season with 2 divisional matchups in the first 2 weeks.
Just
so this
quickly.
It's a huge game already.
It is.
So I'm going to take the Bengals at home to prevail over the Ravens.
That's going to be an interesting game to watch. Seahawks, Lions, and the line is Detroit by 6.
Give me them Lions.
That's what I'm thinking too. Chargers, Titans. Line is Chargers by 3.5 on the road.
Yeah, the Chargers offensively played pretty well last week.
They did.
Up until their line forgot how to block at the end of the game. But their defense was terrible. But what will help them is the fact that Ryan Tannehill can't throw a football anymore. So I'm going to take the Chargers on the road in Nashville, Tennessee.
Bears, Bucks, Lions, Tampa Bay by 3 at home.
Yeah, so everyone was asking if this was the final stop for Baker Mayfield in his career. If he can't win in Tampa Bay, will anyone else give him a chance? As long as you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you always have a chance.
Sure.
It's going to make you a better quarterback than you might actually be. I'm taking the Buccaneers at home over the Bears.
Chiefs, Jaguars. This ought to be a fun game. Lions, KC by 2.5 on the road in Jacksonville.
Yeah. KC will get it together, especially if Travis Kelce plays. That's going to take the pressure off all those brick-handed wide receivers. I think the Chiefs go on the road into Jacksonville, Florida, and get the win.
Colts, Texans, line is Indy by 1,
Okay.
actually.
So Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud, one of them has to get their first win here.
That's right.
I guess that's not true. It could be a tie.
Yeah, well, yes.
Which is dumb. I wish the NFL would quit doing that. So I'm going to take the one that at least has someone to throw the football to. Well, I guess they both have a guy, really. This is interesting. I'm going to take the Colts on the road. I think Anthony Richardson gets his first win.
All right.
And I'm doing that because I think Michael Pittman currently is a better receiver than Robert Woods.
There you go. 49ers, Rams.
Oh, 49ers.
Giants, Cardinals.
Giants.
Commanders, Broncos.
This will be fun.
They're Mile High.
They are in Mile High, but the Broncos were in Mile High this past week.
They were.
Didn't really matter then. The Broncos looked like offensively, they looked like they knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
However, they just didn't call any passes downfield. They never once challenged the Raiders secondary.
No, they didn't.
I think their longest offensive play was 21 yards.
Yep.
I expect that to change at some point. I mean, I know Sean Payton and Drew Brees dink and dunk people to death in New Orleans, but I think the Broncos are going to get the win over the Commanders here.
We have the Dolphins and Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Lions Miami about 2.5 on the road.
Yeah.
Dolphins are facing an actual defensive football team.
An actual defensive football team. However,
that stuffed a powerhouse, really, like Philadelphia, took them to the limit.
And the Dolphins have a pretty good defense. I think the Dolphins have a slightly better defense than the Patriots have offense. And the Dolphins have a good enough offense to put up points on that defense. And they have one of the fastest offenses in the NFL. So I'm going to take Miami to beat the Patriots.
Then on Monday night, we've got a twofer, which I hate.
Yeah.
At 6:15, we've got the Saints and Panthers.
I don't hate a twofer. I hate a twofer when they're playing at basically the same time.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. Saints, Panthers, Lions, New Orleans by 3 on the road. Derek Carr looking for his second win as a Saint.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints here. The Panthers coming off a divisional loss against the Falcons. They're about to suffer another divisional loss against the Saints in week 2. Derek Carr looked good. Chris Olave looked great last week. Even Michael Thomas, who has missed 40 of the last 50 regular season games that the Saints have played, he actually looked pretty good again last week. I think the Saints will go in there and knock off the Carolina Panthers.
And the Browns and the Steelers.
Well,
line is Cleveland by 1.5 on the road.
The Steelers have dudes.
They do.
They have dudes. Can they put it together, though? And the Browns just looked absolutely great. But I don't think last week was how that team's going to perform on a week-in, week-out basis.
Yeah.
But I will take the Browns to knock off the Steelers there in week 2.
All right, it's that time of the show. We got some awards to give out. We've been waiting on this. And I know what y'all are going to say already, but it doesn't matter. I already got my guys picked out. Screw you guys. So we're going to go. All right, first of all, I guess we got to give out, we're going to start with our Drizzlers, what we generally always do, starting out our Drizzler Awards. So let's get that cranking up.
Absolutely.
I definitely got to get music put with that. Maybe a flushing sound.
Yeah, maybe some poo splatter.
Yep. Something to make it pop a little bit. All right. Dude, who's your Drizzler?
So my Drizzler this week is Mel Tucker, head coach of Michigan State. Your football team's rocking and rolling. You're 2-0. You had a bad year last year, stellar year the year before that. Yep. But you look like you've got things back on the right track in what is an absolutely brutal Big Ten conference. And then all these allegations of sexual misconduct and sexual harassment come out. He's suspended without pay. I expect Michigan State's season to derail thoroughly. Mel Tucker, you are this week's Drizzler Award winner.
My drizzle award is the New York Football Giants. And normally it wouldn't even be that. I could have picked a ton of others, but there was so much hype around, oh, the Giants are back. Here they come. They are so improved. Dabo was coach of the year last year?
Yep.
And a great coaching job he did. It got Daniel Jones a mega contract because of his coaching.
It got Saquon Barkley pissed off.
And all they managed to do was nothing.
Yeah.
Last night.
They set a new mark in
ineptitude?
Well, yeah.
There's that. I mean,
I rattled off earlier
all the things.
All the reasons that performance was so historically terrible.
And the Giants weren't the one I thought was going to be the worst team in the NFL this weekend, honestly. I really didn't expect them to be the worst team.
Right.
I really expect that to be Arizona or maybe Houston, one of the two, or even Indy. But New York won that running away.
Yeah, it was
the only good runs they had, really, after the first drive.
Saquon had a few good runs.
Yeah, a couple here and there when he wasn't giving up the football. I like Saquon. I really do like Saquon Barkley. But good Lord, they were awful last night. It was. I mean, I enjoyed it that they were awful. Don't get me wrong, but they were historically bad. When you are setting NFL records in the wrong way,
when you do something that no franchise has done over the course of a season, and you do all of those things in a single game,
yeah, it's bad.
That's next level terrible.
That is definitely that's the worst. All right.
Is a tasty burger. There, I got your sound bite.
There you go. That's what I need to put on it. It is a tasty burger. All right, Big Kahuna. Who's your Big Kahuna this week?
Oh, man. So I can't give out a singular Big Kahuna this week. My Big Kahuna is going to the entire University of Texas football program.
Yes.
Coaches, towel boys, equipment managers, team doctors, trainers,
everybody,
the players, the student body, the fans that traveled to Tuscaloosa.
It was loud there for Texas.
Texas went in there, and it's one thing. It would have been a whole different thing if they snuck out a 1, 2, 3 point win. But the fact that they won by 2 scores, they won by double digits, and they really kind of were better than Alabama in all facets of the game is the thing that really stands out for me. So I would have to go on and say that Texas, being so substantial in the way that they played, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Texas is back, but Texas is back.
That's right. They are. It's so good. And that, of course, is mine. I could have easily picked the Cowboys, but they just beat the lowly Giants. Texas beat Alabama, a perennial powerhouse. All right, the talk of the SEC, because what's everybody talking about? Texas and Oklahoma going to come over here to the SEC, and they ain't going to do nothing. They're going to be at the bottom of the barrel.
They're going to have a real bad time over here.
Yeah, it ain't the same over here. The SEC runs everything. Guess what? Now you got a new powerhouse in the SEC that the rest of the SEC is going to now have to contend with. So, and I think that was taped to the end of a sledgehammer. That message was Saturday in Tuscaloosa. And I couldn't be happier for that. Now, of course, a buddy of ours congratulated me. I didn't even know they had won yet because Saturday was so busy, right? We had a big event Saturday.
So this whole
I haven't been watching it. Yeah,
2-count?
Yeah, a little 2-count. So I just want me to personally congratulate you. Texas won. I was like, oh, well, awesome. I felt good, but we were trying to get another show started, so I didn't really have time to enjoy it, right? And I'm not one of those people that just is in your face about the victories and stuff, talking smack like that on my football teams. I've just never been that way, really.
Quinn Ewers was dropping dimes.
He was dropping dimes.
I mean, perfectly placed footballs.
Yeah, when I got to go back and watch the game, I was like, oh, yeah, dude, that's so good. And that's what we were hoping we were going to get.
A 44-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Worthy.
Yes.
I mean, just over the shoulder, beautifully placed.
Texas looked like
Tremendous.
They did belong, though. And that's what I loved most about the game. Like I said, I was just hoping they were going to keep it close. I had no visions that they were going to go there and beat Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really did not.
Just don't get embarrassed.
You just don't show that you belong with these guys because you are going to be in the SEC now. Absolutely. All joking aside, SEC is the powerhouse in college football. So it was a statement win for them. Kudos to Texas. Don't screw it up. That's all my thing, right? Because that's what I'm really waiting on, right? That part. That part of it. Don't screw it up, guys. Let us stay happy like this. It was great. It was a great weekend. We like this feeling. We haven't got to have it a lot.
No.
So please.
And Texas improves to 8-2-1 all time against Alabama.
Yes, they do.
Both of those losses, though, coming in the last 14 years.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But it was also like I was saying yesterday when we were all talking about it. It's like, man, Alabama's not going anywhere.
No, they're not.
There are always going to be those fans who are like, oh, it's the end of the world. This is it, Alabama. No, it's not. No, it's not. Nick Saban is way too great. Nick Saban can be my football coach anytime for any team. I mean, that dude is just excellent. And if people who hate on Nick Saban only hate because he beats you all the time. That's it. If he was your coach, you'd be singing his praises, sending him Christmas presents, making his supper, giving him toe rubs, everything if he was your head coach. So don't sit here and tell me you would never take Nick Saban as your head coach because that's a lie.
Absolutely.
That's a lie. Let him come to Texas. I love you, Sark, but you got to go. Saban's here now. It was great. It was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. What's next weekend going to be like? Oh,
but that's the
football.
Thrill of it, man.
It is the thrill of it.
You never really know. Like, did we think that Colorado was going to handle TCU the way that they did?
No.
In week one? Did we think Dallas was going to dominate the Giants in such a manner? Because they were only, 2.5-point favorites?
That was it.
Going into that game?
That was it.
I
mean, Duke beats Clemson. We didn't think that.
Handily at that.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. A challenge for them. It didn't seem like it was wild.
You get Miami just thrashing Texas A&M.
Yep.
Just these things that you don't expect always pop up. And they tend to have, especially in college football, like once a week at least.
Sure.
Minimum. Trying to remember who Wyoming upset in week one.
I honestly don't remember.
Man, because it was a top 25 team. They went in there and beat.
Yeah, I was at was it College Station? Is the sports apparel place up there at the mall in South Haven?
Oh no, I just think of A&M when I hear College Station.
Yeah, I know it, but I believe that is the NCAA sports apparel thing up there. So we walk in, and I was wanting to find me a hat because we're going to Florida Thursday.
Oh, it was Texas Tech. That's who they beat.
Oh, that's right. It was Texas.
Texas Tech went to Wyoming, and Wyoming beat them.
We go into the store because I wanted me a hat to take to my Florida trip because we're going to be out there on the beach, going to be out in the ocean, we're going on a party sandbar. We're about to have fun. I walk in there, of course, it's all SEC stuff mostly. They had some Texas shirts and Texas Alabama on the end cap because that was the game of the week. So they did have a few of those, but they didn't have any Texas has any stuff. When I told you, I'm like, next year, that all changes.
Yeah. Once Texas joins the conference.
Yep, it all changes next year. I'm going to be able to walk in this store and find me a damn hat. Because I was a little salty I couldn't find me a Texas hat. I'm like, really? Come on, guys. Come on. Y'all knew they were coming to the SEC.
You just hop on the
Go ahead and
order one.
Go ahead and do it. Well, I've been meaning to. That's like everything else I'm mean to do. Like my chiropractor, she was like, so how long have your hips been hurting? Yeah, a minute. Back. So it's just like everything else. I mean to come in here and do it. But I get to doing other things. I just forget.
Yeah.
Time goes by.
It happens.
Happens all the time. Happens to me all the time. So it's one of those things. It is College Station. So it was great. Great weekend for the foosball. Can't wait for this weekend. More good stuff, except this weekend I'll be a little drunk watching it. So it's going to be a blast. We appreciate you folks tuning in to the Undefined Blitz today. We will be back in 2 weeks, I'm assuming, because I won't be back Monday to do this show.
Okay.
We'll be on the road. We'll have to figure out a way to do something one day next week if we can, depending on what your schedule's like. I know you work a lot and stuff, but maybe we can figure out something to do, kind of have at least nothing. We'll do some pick'ems and have a brief little show. We're just picking games before next weekend happens. We'll try to do something like that for you guys. We may not recap the whole thing, but we'll do something. Y'all have a safe week.